welcome to Two Psychics No Limits. And I apologize for taking it so long that we do another video because we promised to do these every single week or every 2 weeks. But I've been through a roller coaster since January and a huge shift in February. I cannot really say that I lost myself, but I had to recollect everything. I had to find my new way, so that's why it took a little bit longer for me to do any videos. So yeah, I'm here together. Oh yeah, by the way, my name is Cindy. I'm here with Tamalla. See, I'm still all over the place.
Awesome.
Awesome. Woo! Okay, so my name is Cindy and I am an energetic stepping and wholeness counselor. I work together with Spirit, mainly with my own spirit team, Carla. And Carla is here to help us and guide, counsel, coach us on the mental health. And I believe that this topic is becoming more and more important, especially what we are seeing in the external world, but also because of what is happening with the energies. Those emotions and all the struggles are coming now to the surface, and sometimes it can be super overwhelming, and it is very hard to do this actually on your own. Sometimes you just need to have some help from the outside. And I also work with other collectives such as Goddess Isis, Kuan Yin, but also with famous celebrities from the 1930s, 1960s, Marilyn Monroe, Ava Gardner, Judy Garland, Elizabeth Taylor. I feel there is one other celebrity on her way. She's coming closer and closer, so I will give it to. Do you feel that? Mm-hmm. I think I know who it is, and then my German language can most likely be very helpful. So I will give it a few more days, weeks for her to come through because she's not yet in reach. And I also, besides working with spirits, I also do energetic work, as in sound treatments. And the method that I use is sacred crystal sound. And this is a method to relax, rebalance, and re-energize your body and your mind. And I think this is a very nice method, especially for people who are very much, working very hard during the day with their heads. For them, it is very difficult to relax. So I already had some experiences that this treatment is very helpful. And I just would like to point out, oh, that was my light. I would like to point out that I will be in Washington, D.C. Next month, at the end of the month, in April. So if you are close by, it needs to be at the airport though. If you're close by and you would like to try a sacred crystal sound treatment, please reach out and we can do this in person. But in case you're not there and still would like to try it, I also give this treatment on distance, which means that you and I actually do not need to be in the same room. I can still treat you. And I do this one-to-one. But I also found a partner in crime, a colleague of mine who is a few hours away from me, and we are able to treat people together on distance. So it will be like either one-to-one or it will be a royal treatment. And this is it that I would like to say about me. Tamalla, over to you.
Hi, my name is Tamalla Malay, and I am a psychic channel and Akashic Records clearer, a body and soul aligner, and empowerment teacher and coach, and I'm an ordained shamanic Magdalene high priestess. So what does all of that mean? Basically, all of the work that I do is to empower people to their own greatness so that they can know their own divinity, they can align with their soul purpose, and not only align with it, but then be able to embody that and walk that into their experience and into the experience of the world, because it's what we all need right now. It's a lot about personal responsibility, personal accountability, and I do channel a group of beings called Zed, and I have a council of light that I work with as well. And they are teaching us a program called Living a Congruent Life, which they've been teaching since June of 2018, July 2018. And we're fixing to start second quarter 2019 classes. So I'm really excited about that. It's really powerful channeling on how we are helping ourselves and preparing ourselves for the evolution into 5D. Because that's what we're all doing right now, right? We're moving ourselves, the human beings, the animals, the elements, and the earth itself are all leveling up into that 5D, which then will be heaven on earth. So that's what we're working on. I will be in Asheville, North Carolina, April 26th, 27th, and 28th. And I'm doing some group sessions. There'll be some heart thread sessions where we're going to do some healing, group healing. And we're also going to do some channeling with Zed. So if you're interested in those, let me know. And then I'm going to have appointments for one-on-one folks, so we can do circuitry alignment, we can do heart thread, we can do awareness sessions, we can do empowerment sessions, we can do anything. So I'm really excited. Looking forward to that. And also I have, you can follow me on Facebook at Tamalla, Your Empowerment Priestess, and also in Your Empowerment Party, because we're doing a lot of work around empowering folks right now, because everybody has to know their own power in order to be able to insert that power into their experience and be able to insert it into the world. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today too.
Yeah. Yeah, because thank you, Tamalla. Because the topic of today is collective consciousness, work behind the scenes. So Tamalla and I were having discussions like, you know, how things were going for me also. And Tamalla said, we do so much work behind the scenes, but nobody notices. And it is also very hard to notice, but we just would like to point out that when you are working on yourself, you have an impact on the collective. But it is most likely not, you know, noticeable by, you know, the rest of the world, but of course to you and to your closer environment. But it is still very important to do this, because we are not able to get to the 5D or to the empowerment when we are sitting in our chairs and say, oh yeah, you see, everything is going to be okay. But when we're not doing any action, we will stay where we are.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Exactly. And two, you know, it's important. So many people are focused on outside of themselves right now. And it's all about it's somebody else's fault, it's somebody else's issue, it's somebody else's shit, right? It's all external. And the problem with that vision is you can't do anything about the external stuff, right? You can't change anybody else's behavior. You can't modify something else that's going on out there that is not your responsibility, right? You have you are in charge of, and you have responsibility for you and the stuff that's going on inside of you. And here's how it works. Everything in our experience is what we're aligned to. And this is something that really pisses a bunch of people off. And it did me too 25 years ago, because I was living in shit, right? I was living in poverty. I was married to a man who cheated on me all the time. I hated everything about my experience, and I didn't understand. I'm this good person. I do all these wonderful good things. I help people all the time. I sacrifice for my children and my family. Why is this happening to me, right? Well, it's because I accepted it energetically. At that time, I had a belief system that men cheat, because it was my experience. It was my past life experience. It was my present life experience, and I still believed it. Therefore, it was in my experience, right? I believed and bought into the idea that women were less than men because of past life experience and current life experience, and experience watching my mother, watching my grandmothers, right? Watching other people in my experience. And I had that as a belief mechanism. And so all of that kind of stuff Yes, we learn it. We have these experiences. We don't know why. Maybe it's past life stuff. We don't know why we believe it, but we do. And the problem is, it doesn't do any good for me to blame my mother or my grandmother or my past lives on all of that stuff, right? That's not empowering. Instead, what happens is we have to say, okay, that may have been true, and it may be true for them still. I don't choose that anymore. And when I don't choose that anymore, I have to then do the work on myself. And as I do the work on myself, what I'm also doing is I'm integrating that new paradigm, that new belief system into the energy around me, into the environment around me, which then goes out into the world. And that's how we change the collective consciousness. It's not just about talking, right? We can talk all we want to, but that's not going to change anything. Until we're changing our frequencies and our vibration and our experiences, the world's not going to change. And pointing at somebody and saying, you have to do that, also is not going to change the world. You've got to change you first. So, what are your thoughts?
I completely agree. And it is not, I can still remember how it was for me, because it was also not too long ago. This only has been like a couple of years, when somebody said, well, you have to change these beliefs yourself. And we're like, well, why should I? Because these are all real. These happened to me. You know, I am the one who is like being a victim. Hello. Why do I need to be, how did I get this advice? It was like, Cindy, you will have to see this from a different angle, from a different, from a higher perspective. And then I was like, but why do I now need to do the work? Because I have been hurt,
Mm-hmm.
And that was for me something that I really had to. Of course, there's an ego in your mind that say like, why do I now need to do the work? Because I've been victimized. I will need to get something in return. Why do I need to do the work now? But yeah, that is something that is very hard to comprehend. It is something that we do not want to hear either. And for human beings, changing is already very difficult. Most of the people do not want to change. When things will be changed for them on their behalf, yeah, then it is all fine. Because I had friends like these as well, like, oh, I've got an issue, Cindy, can you solve it? And I'm like, why do I need to do that?
Yeah.
That is easy.
Yeah. Well, it won't stick if somebody else is doing it.
No, because you do not grow. And it is the whole thing that I did recently a post. Carla mentioned something as in, what does your human evaluation mean to you when you're not doing your work and stick to the history? What is your evolution? Because it is exactly the reason why you're here. This is what Isis said. I did a video with Isis earlier today. Maybe that's why my energy is still wants to talk. And but Isis said, you're here on earth to learn to understand who you are, and you are not able to learn who you are when you are sticking to whatever you have experienced in the past, or giving your power away, because this is what Isis also is also here. They are here to say you have your own power, be self-empowered. When you're giving it away to somebody else, you feel miserable. Because you have given away your power. Here you go. But it is not how you will understand who you are. And that is why you're here, to, through all those situations and those experiences, you understand who you are. And then I'm not saying like, well, my name is Cindy and I'm a human being. It is as in understanding, like, I'm self-confident. I know what I'm doing. What else can I say about myself? These kind of things.
Right. Well, and knowing, your soul purpose, like I'm divine truth and divine self-expression. So I have to use both of those in everything that I do, because it's primarily what my vibration is made of, what my soul is made of. And so knowing that, it gives me the opportunity to understand why I need to speak truth so frequently, why it's a struggle for me when people are lying, when they're speaking lies, right? It's a big trigger for me because it's diametrically opposed to my soul, right? And it also gives me permission to speak the truth that needs to be spoken, even when people don't want to hear it, because that's what I'm here for. That's my sole purpose. And the more that I step into it and do that more frequently, more authentically, with more integrity, with more vulnerability, it gives other people then to step into their own divine truth and divine self-expression so that they can show up with who they are and they can start doing their divinity. And when they're doing their divinity, then that's when we're all starting to change the world. Because the world around us right now is a reflection of, what's the word? The contamination of the divine. There's not a whole lot of divine truth available on the planet right now. A lot of it is manipulated, it's inverted, which means it's the opposite, right? There's a whole bunch of opposite on the planet, which I'm going to do some teachings on later. But it's incredible that we have forgotten and we've moved away from what is really true for us. We buy into the capitalism. I have to own, I have to possess, I have to have more than other people. I have to, in order for me to be successful, I have to, these 47 things, and we give all our money away and we give all our power away. And here's the biggest thing that Spirit's having me talk about right now. Our money is our life, because we've been programmed to give our life away in order to earn money. And then we're spending our money on stupid shit that doesn't get us more life, that doesn't help our life be better, right? In America, we have sports figures who are making, $40 million a year because they play football. And that's fine and good. But you have people going to these football games paying $250 a person just for the ticket, another $50, $100 for beer and snacks, right? And yet they will turn around and say, I can't afford coaching. If you took that $300 you spend every weekend and took it out of this football game that's not going to change your life, it's not going to make anything about your experience any different, then you get a couple of hours of giving your energy to other people, right? Because that's what you're doing in these team sports. You're feeding your energy to them. And if you took that $300 and instead invested it in a session with someone who would actually help you change your life, then you would start seeing the investment in your life grow and multiply in ways that you've never seen before, because we've been investing in the wrong stuff. And that's the collective consciousness, right? It's all external. We're investing in the team sports. We're investing in the right clothes and the right cars and the right makeup and the right whatever, right? That's all the collective consciousness. And that's why the work that we do on ourselves, when we get into those divine truth places where we're telling ourselves, look, I got $50. What do I want to spend my $50 on? Right? And we've already paid our bills. We paid our rent, we paid our utilities, we paid our car payments, we paid our taxes. We got $50 extra. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to use this $50 to give myself life? Or do I want to spend this $50 and just go blow it on something? And here's the thing, we can choose to do either. Spirit's not going to judge us and say, oh, well, you should have done this. They're going to say, enjoy. right? And joy and joy and joy. But they're not going to let us lie to ourselves anymore.
Mm.
And they're going to say, when somebody comes up and says, hey, there's this program that can help you change your life, and you go, oh, I can't afford it. And Spirit's going to say, yeah, you can. You got that extra $50 that you're going to go eat out on this week, or that you're going to, go to this football game on this week. Why don't you make a different choice? And that's what it's all about. That's what the whole thing is about, is us making different choices.
Mm.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, when you were speaking about, like, we have been focused on how we need to look like, what kind of clothes we need to wear. And then to me, because I work together with spirits such as Marilyn and Ava and Judy and Elizabeth, they came out of the environment, right? And they are now saying, they're saying, like, we have been actually projecting something to you as in society, the external world, for you to believe in something that is important, but it is not important. Because it is this whole scheme, this whole lie of that, well, when you're dressed in a certain way, you will become more happy. And that's what Marilyn said as well. She said she was referring to her movie as in the one called Gentlemen Prefer Blonde. So she said, like, we are now having this this expression, when you've got blonde hair, you have much more fun. And we are starting to believe that, and people start to color their hair because they believe that when you have blonde hair, you will have more fun, or you are more fun. But these are all things that are, they're based on nothing.
Well, they're made up.
Yeah.
They are, and they're also telling you you're not good enough as you are.
Yes. Yes. And Ava did a video I think earlier this week or last week. She is getting a little bit more upset now. I can feel that. She gave me a message earlier this week, and I was like, that expresses your true words. What she actually would like to say, but she's still, I think, holding a bit back. But she said, now I lost it. What did Ava say? What we were talking about?
About how it's made up. The idea that to be beautiful is made up by somebody else, and it tells us that we're not good enough the way we are.
Yes, thank you. So she said Hollywood is there to let you believe in, or she said, like, Hollywood is there for you not to be yourself. You can be anything except for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's also why these women in the 1930s and 1960s were projecting themselves, or dressed in a certain way, as in of course they still had their own identity and their own personality, but they were expressing something to the outside world, saying, well, you need to do this in order to become famous, or you need to do this to become rich, or you need to do that to have a car, and you have to do that to have a home.
Right.
It is something that the more things, I think the longer I am in the higher vibration, it is like with the 3D is the upside down world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything what we think in 3D is normal is absolutely not normal. It is the complete opposite.
Yeah. Total opposites.
And that is what's so confusing.
Well, and two, most of us that have the heart to do light work, right? Who have the heart that and the desire that we wanna do what is enlivening for ourselves and for each other and for the planet, right? We do get confused because all of the messages that are in the consciousness right now are, you're not good enough, you don't make enough money, you don't have enough skills and abilities, you don't look right, and all of these things, and each one of them is heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And it's true. This is truth, capital T truth. Heavy thoughts weigh you down so that you can't be light. Light is Light, light, like a light, like the light of wisdom, the light of God, right? But it's also lighter. The energy, the vibration is lighter. And the heavier you are, the harder it is to get to the light.
Mm-mm.
And that's just that's physics, and it's the way that it works. And these are designed by, and I'm going to say something really kind of controversial here, but all of this has been designed through the generations since Adam and Eve to keep women and the divine feminine subservient. And what happens is, during this patriarchy thing that's been going on since Adam and Eve, it began with keeping women down and with destroying the priestess and getting rid of individual communication with source and with spirit and with God. And you had to go through a church, you had to go through a mediator of some kind because you weren't good enough, right? And it's worked through all of these years, all of these, thousands of years. And what happened is people actually believed it and they bought into it. And so what it meant was men are better than women. They're smarter, they're more powerful, they need to make more money. And yet women all this time have been the ones doing all the work. Not all the work, but if you have a husband and wife, historically, both of them work. The husband just goes to work and he comes home, and the wife goes to work and comes home and takes care of the kids and does the cooking and does the cleaning, right? Historically, 30s, 40s, 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with the movie stars, right? They had that experience as well. And what we're doing right now is we're coming to grips with all of that contamination that was inserted into the earth consciousness, because none of that was true. None of that was true. And even if you believe the biblical, explanation of Adam and Eve, where ribs were taken from the side of Adam so that they could be equals.
Hmm.
Even if you believe that, that never was walked into the planet. That was an idea. And then it was, but woman's still down here, right? Woman's still down here. Well, if she's supposed to be equal, right, which is what it was supposed to be, she's not down here, she's here. Right? And
Yes.
that's the opposite. And so a lot of the work that we're having to do on the planet right now is everything that has happened since Adam and Eve. It's about the adulteration of sexuality, of religion, of sexual preference or sexual orientation, of the ability to be genuine and authentic, and the ability for everyone to be equal. And when I say the adulteration, I mean the idea that anyone is less than anyone else is complete nonsense. It doesn't matter whether you're LGBTQ plus whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're cisgender, if you're what your race is, what your ethnicity is, what your ancestry is, what your poverty or social status is, none of that matters. It's all made up bullshit. And it's honestly about, we're all exactly the same. And anything that says that we're not exactly the same is the manipulation. It is the contamination. It is the opposite. Because the divine doesn't say everybody is entitled to abundance but you. That's not anywhere. That's not anywhere in true divine connection. There's no limitation to what the universe offers us. There's no yeah buts. There is, the universe always says yes. And so it's you that are deciding where you're fitting in all of this stuff by deciding what your yes is. And if that means that you're bisexual, transgender, cisgender, if you're African American, if you're Caucasian, if you're Irish, if you're Asian, if you're anything,
whatever, yeah,
are all of those things, right? It doesn't matter, because the consciousness that is real, that's on the planet, is we're all the same. We're all valued the same. We all deserve the same. We're all worthy of the same. And we can all have the same. And there is no limitation. And anything other than that is just the bullshit. So that's my high horse for the day.
Thank you very much for your input, Tamalla. So let's close now. Just so with other words, whatever is there on the 3D, there's hardly anything left.
Yeah.
I mean, as in, like, whatever is there, it is, nothing is based on the truth. Everything is like the exact opposite. We're all equal. The only thing is that we are all on our own journey. Mm-hmm. We have all our own path. One goes to, decides to become a pilot. There's another one who decides to be a general manager. There's another one who decides to become an actress or an actor. But we are all on our own path with different kind of function. Because we want to experience something, and we are able to do that through the jobs that we are having right now. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense?
Yep, 100%. And those things change depending on what it is, when we complete a particular lesson that we're learning, that our soul wants to learn. Next.
Then the 3D answer will be, excuse us, what are you going to do? Change something in the new role? No. No, not possible.
That threatens us. Don't do that. It makes me uncomfortable when you do that, right?
Yeah. Nobody is doing that, so neither should you.
Right.
What you're doing is unusual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my first hint. I'm on the right track. If it makes somebody uncomfortable, or if it scares the daylights out of me,
oh yeah,
I know it's the right thing I need to be doing.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't mean that I want to do it, but it's like, dang, I gotta go do that.
Exactly.
That's next.
It is the ego mind, right? Who is afraid of saying, like, what is going on? I'm not used to do this. It is like unknown territory. So let's go back to wherever we came from and, do whatever we have done in the past as always, and we stick to that. But that is not what our soul wants. Our soul wants to grow. Mm-hmm. And it is really like finding a way how to communicate actually to your ego mind. This is also one thing that I would like to say. A lot of people are saying, oh, the ego mind is there, that we need to either train or we need to get rid of. But I disagree on both of the points, because the ego mind, first of all, they're very important. And second of all, you will be with your ego mind as long as you live and are in the body, because it is part of our human being existence. Right. And they're here for a certain reason. Mm-hmm. And they're here to, to let us feel safe. And that is also one of the downsides from the ego mind, that when we are changing or going into a different direction, they are freaking out a little bit because they are not aware of what is coming. They don't see what's coming next. And that's why they want to go back into, into the past, because that is known. And then we can predict what's coming in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But when we choose a different direction, they are not able to do it. They only do it out of protection for ourselves. And then you have like a serious conversation with your ego mind and say, everything is going to be okay. I know that because I've done it several times.
Yep. It's a team member.
Yeah.
It's a member of our success team, but you're still the one in charge. Your ego doesn't run you. Your ego is just one of your team members. And so you're in charge of your ego. And if it starts becoming the saboteur, then you get to say, wait a minute, we're not going to sabotage this. What are we afraid of? And how can we do this where you understand that we're going to be safe? Like, I've given my ego / saboteur a new job. That actually, I have assigned them a job to do. And it's awesome. It's working out really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know what, they know what their job is in the process. And when they're doing their job, I'm not berating it. I'm not saying, you're bad or you're not useful or you're hurting me or any of that. It's like, okay, wow, you're showing me this. Okay, give me a report, right? It's like having a staff meeting. Give me the report. Okay, what do we want to do about this? And so when we welcome our ego and our saboteur as part of our healthy team, then it becomes something that not only helps us, but helps the consciousness, because the majority of the consciousness that's on the planet right now is the sabotage aspect of the ego. It's the fear element of the ego, right? It's the look at me, look at me, look at me part of the ego, right? Instead of the balanced part. And so when we're doing our own ego work, we're also helping that ego work for the collective consciousness as well.
Yeah. And there are still a lot of, I think a lot of people are seeing the ego as being like arrogant, They're saying like, oh, this person has a big ego. It has nothing to do with arrogance. At least that's my opinion. Mm-hmm. It is like, what do you want to say? It is also that the ego has been giving a lot of tasks, as in like, for example, I'm just, get this experience because I've had that experience in the past when I was still working in an office, deciding who you need to fire or deciding what you will need to do. It is like the ego, your head will make a decision, but the ego doesn't know what to do, because first of all, it wants everything. And and it has given like a big responsibility, but the ego is not there to have this responsibility. And that is also can be very confusing for people to wonder, what are we going to do? Because first of all, ego doesn't want to decide. It wants everything. It wants to keep as it is right now. Changing is very hard. And so the whole journey actually to work on ourselves is not easy. It is not an easy journey, at least when I speak out of my own experience. It is not easy. Is it worthy? Oh yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Because you're then, at least I am seeing that I am creating my own life. And then when something is changing and I see something happening in my close environment that I'm not so happy about. I'm like, damn it. There's still something inside of me that I will need to look at for me to transform it into something positive. And then you go to the next, and then you go to the next, and to the next. And that's why the whole entire journey of a human being is never ending. It is the step out of the 3D into the 4D into the 5D, which is, a lot of effort. But I think it's what I believe, Tamalla. I'm not sure if you have the same view, that the more people who are doing this, the easier it will get for the ones who are following.
Yes, yes, because we're breaking those things that are in the collective consciousness, and we're showing examples of it can be different. And a lot of people need to see that. They need to see, oh, it can be, better for other people. So I must be able to do it if they can do it.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier. And it also starts breaking down the tentacles of the paradigms, right? And they get weaker and weaker and weaker because we stop feeding them.
Yeah. That's nice. Let's go, people. Let's go. Yeah, and that is why, I think it is important to actually say that, when I grew up, I received, I don't know if it was the same for you in your generation, but in my generation it was like this: oh, you want to be helpful for others, then please, pack your bags, go to a certain country where there are a lot of poor and sick people and help out there, because then you really contribute.
Right.
And then I was like, do I really need to do that? It's not that I'm not willing, but I just knew it was nothing for me, in my life, in this lifetime, to do. There are other people who are, I believe, they are way more, they have other skills that they can implement in the work that is needed. It's not necessarily that, that what I have is beneficial. So I believe there are other people who are able to do a much better job than I will, because I am not, I'm not supposed to do that. So when I heard that, you need to pack your bags, you really need to care about, for poor people and the ones who have no food. And I was like, oh, do I really need to do that as well? But it is the whole idea as well that they are selling. You need to do this for other people who are not that privileged as you are, but we are not conscious of that when you meditate, you quiet your own mind, you have an influence and an impact on the collective consciousness, which means that we are quieting as well other minds. And the more people are doing it, especially when we are coming together in a big group and do everything all together at the same time, because there will be more people involved, the bigger the impact will be. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to point it out, saying like when you're not feeling that, a lot of people are saying you should be doing this, you should be doing that, but when you do not feel it, or it doesn't resonate with you, it does not mean that you are wrong or that you're lazy or, whatever they're trying to sell you. It is just not part of your journey. You just need to do something else that fits you.
Right.
And when you think that when you want to meditate every single day for an hour or maybe even for 30 minutes, it's helpful for you, but at the same time, you also help other people by quieting the mind. Because there are a lot of people who are in the workforce and using their heads continuously for many hours a day. Do you have any... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I really like that. And it's something that I teach in my classes and stuff is, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not yours to do.
Yeah.
And that's what you were just saying. But then also, we each have our own desires of our hearts, right?
Yeah.
And if in our heart, then that's ours to do. And it's already ours. because it's already in our heart. We don't have to do anything to be deserving of it or to be worthy of it. We just have to say, this is a desire of my heart, and I'm committing to having that experience in my life. And you gather all of your spiritual support team and your earthly support team and say, look, this is a desire of my heart. It's important. I accept it. Now let's go make it happen. And that's totally different than buying into the idea that you have to sacrifice everything and fit this particular mold or go to this particular place because it's your obligation to do that, right? We're not doing obligation anymore. We are only doing, in 5D, we only do the desires of our hearts. And the desire of our heart is always going to be pure because it's not contaminated by our head. And remember, I say this all the time, your head's full of shit. Yes. Don't listen to it. Go into your heart, 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 and then drop down into your soul space. And I teach a lot of classes on that. And move that way. We don't move from our heads anymore. Our head just kind of helps work out maybe a little bit of the GPS, right? But we don't take our directions from our head anymore. That was all 3D. And that's not where we are. It was 3D, 4D. We're not there anymore. We're moving into 5D. And so the question becomes, am I willing to acknowledge the desires of my heart and write them down on paper so I can see them and take them outside of my body, right? And put them into this third dimensional experience. And am I willing to do that and look at it and say, okay, am I willing to commit to have this in my experience? Because here's the other point is when you're living your own heart's desire, you help everybody on the planet live theirs because you've done it and you're doing it. And then other people can go, wow, I can do that too. And they start living it and doing it. And then we look around and it's like the whole world is living their heart's desire. And their heart's desire is always going to be pure. Heart's desires are not contaminated. So that's, don't allow the warp of, oh, well, pedophiles, that's their heart's desire. That is not their heart's desire. That is their contaminated second chakra. That is not their heart's desire, right? So don't get it twisted. Your heart's desire is always pure, always. And so when we're doing that, can you imagine us all living our heart's desire and then Mother Earth living her heart's desire? It really is and will be heaven on earth, right?
Yes. Yes, I've been waiting for it for a very long time. Yeah. And I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Because there are things that even my mind does not understand. And I'm going to throw it out there. Paying for bills, paying for electricity. Well, where is your electricity coming from? It comes from a planet, either by wind or sun or whatsoever. It's not the sun or the wind saying like, oh, please send me a bill because you're using my energy. And I'm just asking, why am I paying for electricity? Why am I paying for water? Because it's coming from Mother Earth. She is supplying us with the things that we need. So my question is, why do I need to pay for it? What exactly am I paying? Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward for not receiving those.
Well, and the head answer is that the mental answer for that, right? The one that's full of shit is you're paying for the people to build all the pieces and the parts to put together the wind turbines and to put them out there and make them work. You're paying those people to make those parts so that they have money to pay their bills with, right? And while that's logical, yes, it is logical, that's not how the heart works, right? And so that's what that is a good indicator of whether you can drop down in your heart or not, and outside of your head, and really see that there is a difference. Now, I'm not going to tell you what your heart says about it, because I want you to do the exercise and see if you can drop down into your heart and understand the difference. And if you can't, if you just keep getting that same rehearsed stuff, you're still in your head, you're not in your heart. So keep practicing. Okay?
Yes. All clear. I'm looking forward for heaven on earth, because we are the ones who are going to create it. Exactly. And I believe, I think I've never, read the Bible, but I believe that is that a saying that is mentioned in the Bible, that the heaven on earth is coming. But we still need to do the actions. It's not that we are able to watch TV with a bag of chips in front of us and say like, oh, heaven on earth is going to be created, so I'm going to wait and sit here until it is there.
Or just sit around singing Kumbaya, right?
Yeah.
Just sitting around going, oh, well, the world's going to be wonderful, and the world's going to be wonderful, and isn't it wonderful? The world is going to be wonderful. Right? That is an excellent thing that you can do in your spare time to keep your energy up, but that is not the shit you need to be doing to change the world.
No.
It's not going to happen. The reason that we're in the situation that we're in right now is because people have ignored their personal responsibility, and they completely have just dug their head in the sand. And there was the 2012, right? The end of the Mayan calendar, all of that stuff. Sorry, my nose is itching. Sorry. Everybody's like, yay, we made it past 2012. We're not going to blow each other up, right? We're good to go. Well, I channeled Archangel Michael and Raphael in 2014, I think it was. And they did a big teaching on this and said, look, the 2012, the idea that y'all think just because a date on a calendar has switched that you've done it is obscene. It's ridiculous, and it explains the human condition right now of why y'all are so disempowered and you don't get it. It's not a date on a calendar. It's, have you made the choice yet? And the choices about whether or not you're going to choose as a human race to blow yourselves up hasn't been made yet. And so you're still in danger as a human race, if you call it danger, because you haven't made the damn choice yet. And this is a collective choice. And that's why a lot of this stuff is happening with Korea and Trump right now, is because we're moving to the time where as a collective, we have to make this choice. And it doesn't happen. Again, it's not, 2012. We're behind the energetic calendar.
Oh, we are?
We're about 8 or 9 years behind energetically where we're supposed to be in our evolution as a planet. We're actually more than that. But, in general, for this particular process. Because here's the thing, as human beings, we are step people, right? We have to do things in order, right? And so certain things had to happen in order for the next things to happen, in order for the next things to happen, in order for the next things to happen, right? Well, making the choice about whether or not we're going to annihilate each other hasn't been made yet. So the stuff leading up to that, were delayed because we didn't make a bunch of other choices before then. And so that's why the kumbaya and everything's going to be fine and yay, it's after 2012. That's part of the reason why the choice hasn't been made yet, because people haven't been doing their own work. they've been ignoring their personal responsibility. That's like people who don't vote. The thing that makes me crazy is to have enlightened people say, I don't vote. That's a human construct. And I just want to go,
that's ego.
You're in a human body. You have a personal responsibility to make your choices known when you're in a human body. And one of the mechanisms that is in place in doing that is voting. You have a responsibility as an enlightened being to vote. And if you're saying, oh, I'm too enlightened to vote, you're part of the problem. And you're the reason why we're so far behind, because you've abdicated your own responsibility in helping us actually change the consciousness and change the experience that people are having on this planet. You're just sitting around singing Kumbaya. Oh, soapbox number 2. It must have needed to be said for somebody.
It was a very clear message. It's very clear. I want to say that, I say that when I had to go through my own evolution and clearing up my own emotions and so on, it took me a lot of effort, a lot of work. But I realize now, when you're talking, when I was in an office, you do a lot of work. You've got a lot of paper. You have this experience as well, right? Working in the corporate world. You have a lot of documents on your table. You have to do this. You're getting emails, you're getting faxes, or faxes don't really exist anymore, but anyway, they were. You've got phone calls, people at your desk, questions. So you have a lot of work. And then when you hear from somebody else, from outsider saying, at least in my case, Cindy, you need to work on yourself. Then we're like, oh, so I've got even more work to do. So I've got an 8 or 9, maybe even 10 hours day in the office, working for somebody else because I was an assistant, working for a boss, and then working for a company. And then I also need to do work, on myself. And that is, is a lot of time, a lot of patience. It is really for me to understand that there's also something that I kept hearing, be nice to yourself, be nice to yourself. And then your ego might just like, I'm still so upset at myself. Why is this not working? So this is also a way of knowing that you're not being nice to yourself, because this is how you talk. This is what you're saying to yourself. Being in an office, it is all a distraction from, from what we are here for. What you're saying, like, do your heart purpose. Because being in an office for 10, 12 hours, or I don't know, maybe working in a factory for 16 hours, it all puts you cannot focus on what you really would like to do. Maybe you already know what you would like to do, but it is the time and the work that needs to be done in order to get there. Mm-hmm. And when you're being taken away for so many hours to do something else, it is very, there's hardly a balance, and it is the shifting that needs to happen. I remember that as well when I was walking around in the office halls and say like, oh, I really would like to meditate a little bit more. That's why I also got upset. I want to meditate. I don't want to, hear and get all those questions. Yes, I would like to help people, but in an office it is different than what I'm doing right now. And I really wanted to spend some time on meditating, and I was like, how do I, just for me, questioning myself, how do I create a time and a way for me to balance both things? Mm-hmm. That is what you're saying, like, where is your priority? Mm-hmm. Because when you would like to meditate, and if you're giving the priority to quiet your mind, you will be able to actually, you know, all those very tiny thing, you'll be able to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will consume even more time of yourself to focus on meditating, and even go outside for coachings or for counseling or for anything that you would like to do to work on yourselves. And then the job will get less and less and less, because you put your priority. You have to make a shift. It's not going to happen for you. That's what you will need to do yourself, because it's your free will and you're going to choose it or not.
Exactly.
I think we can stop. You know, I think we can. You know, we can continue talking about this for another 3 days.
It's a juicy topic because it's real.
Yes.
And you know, it's a really good point. When people are full, they're full. But what you have to understand is that fullness is not going to change unless you change it. And so start giving yourself, even being in the office, you can say, okay, I'm going to choose not to allow other people to steal my peace. I'm not going to give my peace away to other people. I'm going to choose to find ways to not be insulted by other people. I'm going to find ways how not to be hurt by other people when they are talking at work, or to not feel judged, or to not care if they're judging me, not out of spite, but out of unplugging from that thing, right? And instead give your energy to, I want to be happy. I'm going to find something every day to be happy about in my job. And it can be as simple as that. It's not going to take you 14 hours to do that. It takes mental and emotional discipline to do that. And you can do it.
Yes.
We're examples that it can be done. And we're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because also don't think you're going to do it one time and it's going to be done.
We're both like,
You get to keep doing it as you level up, and 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 then it gets easier and easier and easier to do. It used to take me months to get through things, and now I can get through them in an hour or two. And so it's remarkable, but it comes from our own mental and emotional discipline. And when we're doing that for ourselves, we're helping the mental and emotional discipline for the collective consciousness as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do you want to close the video?
Sure. So if you want to contact either of us for private sessions or check out our offerings, you can contact Cindy at channelingcarla.com or info@channelingcarla.com is her email. And if you want to check out my website, it's yourownsoul.com, or you can email me at info@yourownsoul.com. We hope you enjoyed. Please leave some comments. Share this with your friends who need to hear it. We are here to take down any limitations and to bring in divine truth into this world so that all of us can have an empowered and power-filled life of joy and fun and abundance. So we will be back in a couple of weeks, and we hope to see you then.
Yes, please subscribe and like the video. Bye.
Bye.